Patrick Warburton is going to step to the side of the frame and say something.
As okay, I don't know if I can do the Lemony Snicket one. I sound more like a pissed off Joe.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm putting him on the spot, so
Okay.
whatever.
So after that depressing tale, we're gonna. Even though I made an appearance in the new series, Brandon, take it away.
We're very concerned.
Everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Why Are You Still Here? As you probably know, it's the show where we talk about whatever we want.
Today we have an interesting topic. This is one of the days where Brandon and I have not told each other the stories. I've told you about one of these, but not in mass detail. So you know a little bit of it, but the other ones you don't know about. So today, we are going to be talking about our movie theater going experiences, the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
And you might say, what do you mean by that? And I'll say, well, I'll tell you.
Him, Brandon.
So the good is going to be the best movie theater going experience you've ever had. We've all had them, I hope. If you haven't,
I'm sorry.
You have my sympathies. But you have at least that one that your mind immediately goes to as just the greatest. If you could be transported back into that moment, you would do it. Yep. I would do it. The bad. So that one is a fun one. This is what started this entire idea for me, actually. That one is the one where you went to the theater. You were convinced, like it wasn't even a question that this movie was going to be great. You knew it was going to be great. This was fantastic. You're so excited. And then the movie is horrendous. Your entire life force has left your body. That's what it feels like. And we all remember that. I remember mine. You're about to find that out. And then the indifferent. So that was a last minute addition. And that's when people all around you are doing the whole talking and taking pictures. Have you seen that before? Taking pictures of the screen? Like, what are you doing?
A little bit, not too much.
And you might think, Brandon, that sounds like a terrible experience. Yes, it is, but it's indifferent. Because you didn't even find out what happened in the movie. So you're indifferent about the movie because you didn't watch it. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the wording. Full discretion. I did have a third one that was different. It was a different subject and I completely forgot it. So I guess that makes it not so, important then, I guess. So we're just rolling with this one. And I didn't want to mess up the Clint Eastwood title, but
I'm glad that's what you're going for, because I was about to say The Ugly, but
there. Well, of course, but it would have been sort of cliche to go with Ugly, because that's just the title.
We're very cliche anyway.
Of the movie. Anyway. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. Let me ask you this though, sir.
Yes.
Do you want to start with the good and then just go to hell? Or do you want to start with the bad, go to the good, and then end with the indifferent? Or do we end with the good so we leave everybody on a good note ending this episode? I don't know. I'm conflicted.
You know what? Let's start with the bad. Let's start with the bad and then work our way to the good. I think that's more entertaining because
okay.
I have a few things to say about the bad.
Okay. Awesome.
So
and
I guess
that's what started this idea anyway. So that makes sense that we're starting with that one. And what we do best is complain, right? So
yeah, so I think I'm just gonna get right into
the episode
and start to complain.
Please.
The year, let's set the scene. The year is 2004. I am in elementary school, and this new movie is coming out based off a book series that I have read 9 of them up until this point. It's called Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Brandon, I know you have a history with this movie.
Yeah, so do I. Now I'm interested because I know your feelings about this movie. So
the feelings have changed over the years substantially. So this was the first movie series based off books that I had read all the source material for beforehand. I was into the series before it was going to be a film series. I started reading them probably in like 2001, 2002, because Klaus looks like Harry Potter with the glasses on the cover. That's the main reason why I got it. So periodic, like maybe once a month, once every, not too often, but maybe once a month, I would go to Kroger. They had the books there, and I would always frequent the magazine section. That's what you do when you're at the grocery store as a kid in the 90s and early 2000s. So I would always get a book. I would get one from the series about every month. I would save up my little change jar thing, and I was really attached to the series. So when I heard they were making a movie, I was instantly excited. I had read up to the Carnivorous Carnival at this point because I think that was the most recent book that was out at the time.
Okay.
And the image of Jim Carrey as Count Olaf was released online. And I remember looking at it in elementary school on this orange iMac G3 in the classroom. And me and my friend were like, holy shit, dude, he looks exactly like Count Olaf. The trailers come out and they were okay trailers, and I see that Uncle Monty and Aunt Josephine are in this, and I'm thinking, huh? How is that supposed to work? And then I find out that they're putting 3 movies into one. And I was a little skeptical, but still excited. I remember.
Can I ask you a question about that real quickly? Did you really think, and I'm not trying to sound like a dick, did you really think that they were going to make an entire movie just off of that first book? That's like 60 pages.
As a
sarcasm,
kid, but as a kid, I didn't really think twice about it.
Okay.
So I and this goes to show the age. It's 2004. Okay, you're not going online and watching movie clips at a good quality streaming rate like you are today. It's not the case. So I had a little TV in my room with the built-in VCR, and I would record the commercials off Nickelodeon and like go back and watch them just to see anything I could possibly see about this movie.
Yeah.
I thought the art design was cool. Jim Carrey looked nice, and I was just so excited. My dad buys the tickets like a couple days early, like we always did at the AMC that I always go to, the one that I still go to in the ghetto. And
it was Star, right?
And and we go there, and the movie starts. And it starts with like the littlest elf thing, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then Jude Law was like,
I'm sorry to say that this is not the movie you will
There's a better movie in theater number two. And we were in theater number 2, actually. It's hilarious. So the movie starts, and then like Mr. Poe, Timothy Spall comes in. He looks just like Mr. Poe does to me. He hardly coughs, though, which is strange. I noticed that right away. And they meet Justice Strauss, and then that's fine. Everything is fine up until they get there, and it is just a speed run of that movie, of that book. So horribly done. And by the time they finished up the bad beginning, which is them on the train tracks, which is completely made up, and I did enjoy that for what it was worth. Actually, even at the time, I thought it was kind of cool.
Sure.
But I remember, and that's like 25 minutes into the movie, and I'm thinking, like, at that point, as a kid, I'm thinking, you know what? This fucking sucks. I could piss right now and the movie's going to be over. I hate this. And then I kept watching it. Uncle Monty was in it for like a minute and a half. Meryl Streep is awesome as Aunt Josephine. She was like one of the standouts of that movie to me, weirdly enough. And then
I don't think it's weird to say that Meryl Streep was good in a movie.
But she was perfect at it. She was much better than the woman they had in the Netflix series. I didn't believe her character as much. She was too bad. She seemed way too brave for being scared in that one. And I don't know.
I liked it all, but continue.
And the only thing I got out of that movie at the time was that Jim Carrey was flawed. Even though he was a little too funny, the tone of the movie is completely off from the books. Olaf has like hardly any of that scare factor. Neither does the troop. It's just all a joke, and it's not a very good joke at a lot of times. And I just really hated it. And then eventually I got it on DVD because I had to, because I'm a nut hugger. And then over the years, I came to nostalgically enjoy it. The Netflix series is by far the superior adaptation. But at the time, I was just so angry. I think it's because I was so intimately familiar with the source material, and I never, like, for Harry Potter, I saw the movie first, and then for the first two, and then read the books there on out. But for Lemony Snicket, I had no filmic knowledge of any of it. So it was all a creation in my head, and it wasn't what I wanted, and I hated it. So it was just, to me at the time, it was trash. I've come to enjoy it for what it's worth. But it ain't very good. The Aflac duck is in that movie.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure he has a credit too at the end.
Gilbert Gottfried is credited. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the director's doing.
Yeah, that movie. And then here's the thing about, I think it was Brad Silberling who directed that movie, I believe.
Who never directed anything again.
And Daniel Handler wrote 8 treatments for that movie, and every single one got shit canned. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
And he eventually approved of the movie and said, although it's not his vision, he said it was an enjoyable movie. But like, he actually respectfully gave them, the finger for that movie. And then funny enough, Paramount, which is who did the Netflix series, is Nickelodeon Studios, who made the original movie. So, right. And that's why the art style is like almost identical. It has some of the same art supervisors, I believe, who worked on the show, or who worked on the movie, who worked on the show.
Yeah, I don't know, but
the one thing I'll give the movie that stylistically they do is that ending credit sequence of like that little song and like the little puppets and like that art style is so that goth art style of them is so tastefully done. That might be the best part of the movie, is like the credit sequence, and nobody ever talks about that, but I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah, it's good. I really like that as well. It's one of the few times that credits roll and I have to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
It's luckily we finally saw what Daniel Handler's vision would be, and it was significantly better and more accurate.
It's very fully realized. I still wish they would tone down on the comedy a little bit, but maybe because I read the books when I was like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe that's why they seem scarier than they are. Because I have read them as an adult, and the humor is dry as hell and pretty spot on to the show.
Brandon, get on with your story. We're just gonna keep talking forever.
Indeed. And I will say briefly that I had a different experience with that movie. I adored it when it came out. I was obsessed with it. And even though I
you like
read
Jim
the
Carrey.
books, I read the first 4 books before seeing it.
Okay, which is all you needed anyway.
Yeah, you didn't even need the 4th book, but the Miserable Mill. But yeah, so I read those. I adored it, even though, you know, it has its flaws. And now looking back at it, I have nostalgia for it, but it drives me insane how funny they make Olaf. So that's my issue with it. Like, as much as I love Jim Carrey, they should have pulled in the reins a little bit, because Olaf is funny, but
comedically funny.
No, not like slapsticky kind of, you know what I mean?
When
like
he's walking around doing the T-Rex shit.
Yeah, that doesn't really bother me
turn it
too
up.
much.
Is anybody?
It's more so like, that's fine to me because he's an actor, right? So that is, it might be something that Olaf would do and think it's an actual good performance, but it's the treatment of the kids.
Al Funcoot. Oh,
like,
my
God. You wouldn't take this guy seriously, you know, like, you'd just be laughing at all the stuff he says. And
from his introduction,
they laugh at the stuff he says in the movie too, if I'm not mistaken. There's eventually it changes, but initially they're like, you know,
in the
like,
beginning when he like puts them, he's like and Mr. Poe is standing there. It's like, why would you, what is this? Exactly. Yeah, it's not good. Not good.
No. Well, it could be good, but it's not accurate. At least it's not book accurate, you know, to the source material. The Neil Patrick Harris version is substantially more literally correct.
I think there's one line in particular in that movie, and it's so subtle and so well delivered by Jim Carrey, and it's my favorite line in the whole fucking movie. When they make the pasta puttanesca, and then Violet's like, we made pasta puttanesca, and he goes, what did you call me? And it's just, I don't know why, but even as a kid and as an adult, it's just, he's so oblivious to what it is, and he's just like, what? It's so funny. It's absolutely hilarious. Like, I'm gonna throw up a clip for that one. It's so short, I don't think we'll get content ID'd for that.
No, not after the Halloween video, I tell you. But then I get away with things you don't for some reason.
Yeah,
but try that different format anyway. Yeah. Let me paint a picture for you. Mine was after Lucas's. It wasn't,
I believe you said it was in 2007, 2008.
It was indeed in 2007. And I had such a long run. You know, you think
I think I know what movie you're going to talk about.
You think that every single movie is just as good as each other. You know, it's just sort of like a weird, like, you know, if they make a movie, it must be good kind of thing. I had no like thought process going on as to certain movies are just worse than others. You know, I was stupid because in 2007 I was 15 going on 16. Like, what? Anyway, I just liked everything. You know, I'd go see a movie and I liked it. It was weird. And then this one was terrible. Anyway, so 2002, a movie came out. It was wonderful. It was a little movie. It was called Spider-Man. And
I didn't think, I thought you were gonna say Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh no, I loved that when it came out. See, that's my deal. Like, I love everything except for this. So Spider-Man came out. It was a massive phenomenon. It was, you know, it was just so much fun. It was a time before you know, the oversaturation of comic book movies. They were just sort of getting their footing at that time with X-Men and, you know, Spider-Man. And this was the very first, you know, cinematic portrayal of Spider-Man. And I was a Spider-Man fan. I read the comic books. I watched the TV show, the animated series in the 90s. And I was so excited for this. And it was wonderful. So 2 years rolls by. Spider-Man 2 comes out. You think it can't get any better than that first one. Oh, but it did.
Spider-Man 2 is phenomenal. I'm not a comic book guy. We've said this, but those Spider-Man movies are so well. Those two are so good. Yeah. Spider-Man 2. I mean, I'm not a comic book aficionado guy by any stretch, but Spider-Man 2 is so well done. I love almost everything about that movie. That movie is awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. It was wonderful. You know, it was just like wonderful, right? Right from the Doc Ock scene where his arms are killing all the surgical staff members.
That's so awesome.
So, of course, that movie came out. You know, it was accompanied by that awesome game that was the first actual open world Spider-Man game. My God, I could go on and on about that. I'll spare you the details. It was wonderful. If you lived in 2004, you know how wonderful that time was. So 3 years comes down the line, right? Been waiting for this movie forever. There's been rumblings. Is it going to be Venom? Oh boy, it's gonna be Venom and Sandman. Okay, that's a little weird, but whatever. As long as there's Venom. Really? Green Goblin, Harry Osborn, and he's called New Goblin. Okay, but at least there's Venom. You know, we've been waiting for Venom, and Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, especially Spider-Man 2, is so good. My friends and I, we all went to the midnight release of it. We were so damn excited. I mean, it was like we were on cloud nine. Unfortunately, this was a time where it was before assigned seating, and we arrived a little bit too late, which probably meant that we were there an hour early. That'll make sense later. But you had to arrive super early for big things like that.
Yeah.
And so we ended up in the very front row, and you know, looking up at the screen like this. It was before recliners. And that was a little taste.
That was the prelude
to come. That was the prelude. Exactly, of the things to come, because that still remains to this day one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, it was atrocious, and I've revisited it.
Okay.
It's still atrocious. It somehow gets worse every time I watch it.
I've only ever seen it
lot.
One time, and it was in the movie theater. I'll tell you my experience after.
Well, let me tell you what, it got worse. It got much worse, because there's been much better things that have come out.
I remember not liking it, but I don't remember hating its guts.
Oh man.
But I just remember being very disappointed.
Yeah. We walked into the theater like truly on cloud nine. Like it was like this. This was us walking in. Or like, okay, I'm gonna go this way.
So basically, you were recreating that dance scene when Peter was walking around and doing his shit. What are you doing?
Ending my life.
Oh.
Like I said, I was gonna walk into the theater, show you how I was walking in, and then that was how I was walking out.
Oh, that's how you left. Okay.
Reflecting on everything that I knew in existence. Yeah, it was just awful.
Oh my fucking
awful.
God.
Awful.
Hey everybody, it's my dog. You want to hear from him?
Yes.
Hey Duncan. What do you think about Spider-Man 3?
Lucas, I think it's awful. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Duncan.
I agree. So, yeah, it was atrocious, and everything about it. They ruined the character of Venom. Eddie Brock just tore that apart. Sandman was like okay, but who gives a crap about Sandman?
That was the most bizarre. I don't know how they decided to shove that many characters in that movie, because every single one they shoved in got thrown to the wayside so hard that it made it just irrelevant to even have them. Focus on one of them. That was
the beginning of that. I mean, it's the Spider-Man 3 syndrome, as it's called now.
Really?
I mean, if a movie has too many villains, it's Spider-Man 3 syndrome. It's you know it's going to be bad, and they repeated their mistake in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was the same thing.
Didn't that one have like the reptile dude and a bunch of other people in it? I didn't see the reboots of Spider-Man. The only other Spider-Man I saw was Spider-Verse, which is amazing. That movie was awesome.
The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one's really good. It's amazing. It's the second one is not as bad as Spider-Man 3, but it's similar. It had 3 villains. It was the same thing. Rhino, Green Goblin, and Electro. And it was whatever. It's the same thing. So Sony eventually they end up messing it all up again. So I'm just waiting. But it was just New Goblin, just like, oh man, I can't even talk about it that much because it just hurts me down to my very soul. But it was bad. And they should have leaned into the fact that the suit, it, heightens your worst features. Basically, they shouldn't have had him dance around in a nightclub and then end it with him smacking Mary Jane like we're supposed to care after he just did this dance, like, and before that, the dancing down the street.
There's a glorious cut of that. There's some Blu-rays where they take the soundtrack out of the movie and you can watch it without the sound.
Oh yeah,
and that scene of him
hilarious.
Silently, it's awesome. Yeah. I don't actually have too much remembrance of of the plot and all the shitstorm. I don't even remember anything about New Goblin in it. I focus more on the Sandman aspect and the book-ended aspect of whatever the fuck the ending of that movie was. The Venom shit.
It was all 3 villains, but remember this?
Oh, emo Spider-Man.
And he has he's wearing like mascara and eyeliner to make him look badass.
The only thing I can give that movie, is that I really did like the poster of him sitting on there where he's got like the 2-tone suit kind of. I think that looks cool.
I mean, there's a bunch of posters. I'm assuming you're talking about like where he's wearing the normal suit and then in the reflection it's the black suit. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the only thing I can say that's good about it. I liked when it was over.
I mean, that was my first realization of something else too. Not only was it that like, oh, something that I was so sure was going to be good was bad.
Mm-hmm.
What? It was also the first time of me seeing a trailer that looked phenomenal.
Really?
Just being awful. Oh yeah.
Well, I'm also surprised that it was so late in your life. That's older for sure, man.
Yeah. And the rug was pulled out from under me. I mean,
you must have been a naive kid growing up, man. Jeez.
I just didn't know what to do with my life after
I can
that.
tell.
I mean, because I was
probably uprooted your whole reality and just ruined it. Everything is just different.
It did. I was such a big Venom fan, and they just destroyed that character, and it just, yeah, it was bad. And I had to just go and like read the comic books featuring Venom to try to recenter my universe. And that's what I did in school during downtime, was just, the
Good.
bad taste has been washed out from my mouth of Tobey Maguire. And hopefully, fingers crossed, in No Way Home, they're going to somehow call back to this and make fun of it in some way. That's what I'm hoping for. But, my spider sense is tingling, if you know what I mean.
Spider sense is tingling.
That's a line from the movie. That's a line from Eddie Brock.
About.
That's all I have to say. Okay. The good. What was your greatest cinematic experience?
So my most memorable cinematic, well, I've had so many good ones, but this one just stands out to me. Okay. And it is that movie right there, Toy Story 3. So if I didn't see the